This is True Crime with Jackson. Today we're looking at the chilling story of Bruce McArthur, a case that shook Toronto, Canada, and revealed the failures and dangers lurking in plain sight. Let's begin a decade before the first headlines splashed across national news. Bruce McArthur lived an unassuming life for many. Born in 1951, he grew up in a small Ontario farming community, a rural traditional upbringing, one where secrets were kept and conformity was the rule. He married, had kids, worked in the retail industry. But as with many stories that reach here, there were secrets beneath the surface. McArthur struggled with his identity for decades, coming out as gay only in his 40s, after his marriage ended. By the early 2000s, McArthur was a fixture of Toronto's Gay Village, a popular downtown neighborhood that has long served as a hub for the city's LGBTQ+ community. He worked as a landscape gardener and moved easily among social circles. At the bars and cafes, at house parties, he was friendly, sometimes flirtatious, and generous with his time. On the surface, he was harmless. But the surface is never the whole story. For years, men disappeared from the village. Skandaraj Navaratnam in 2010, Abdul Basir Faizi in 2010, Majid Kaihan in 2012, immigrant men, often racialized, vulnerable, sometimes closeted, sometimes struggling with addiction or housing. In all three cases, there were striking similarities. Each man had connections to the village, each vanished without a trace, and in each case, police investigated but came up empty. The cases were frustrating, but in a city as big as Toronto, disappearances sometimes fade from the spotlight. That changed in 2017. Another man, Andrew Kinsman, went missing. He was well known in the local community, and his disappearance triggered alarm. Friends and activists demanded answers. Kinsman's calendar had a single word entered on the day he vanished: Bruce. That clue broke open years of silence. Toronto police assembled a task force. Their investigation, called Project Prism, waded through apps, surveillance footage, and witness statements. All paths, it seemed, pointed back to Bruce McArthur, the friendly landscaper, the man with a white van parked casually at his Thorncliffe Park apartment. Digging deeper, police found a disturbing pattern. McArthur had relationships or encounters with almost every missing man. He was last seen with several. They noted an unsettling detail. Many of McArthur's clients allowed him access to their yards or gardens. He kept tools and equipment at dozens of addresses across the city and suburbs. In January 2018, police made their move. Officers surveilled McArthur, and one day, as they closed in, they broke into his apartment to prevent a possible imminent assault. What they found was a horror show. Evidence quickly mounted: photographs on his digital devices, personal items from the missing men, and something more sinister. Police excavated planters at a home where McArthur did landscaping work. They ended up finding the dismembered remains of 7 men hidden in various large planters on the property. In the cold Toronto winter, police continued their search, methodically moving through McArthur's job sites. It was methodical, chilling. The effort to mask cold-blooded murder beneath literal layers of dirt and flowers. The victims, Selim Essen, Andrew Kinsman, Dean Lisowick, Sarush Mahmoudi, Skandaraj Navaratnam, Abdul Basir Faizi, Majid Kaihan. Each one somebody's son, friend, brother. The city was horrified, but for many there was a sickening sense of confirmation. For years, advocates in Toronto's LGBTQ+ community had suggested something terrible was happening, that disappearances weren't random, but targeted. Their warnings had gone unheeded or dismissed by authorities. The handful of men in missing persons posters suddenly formed a pattern, a map of connections running through one man. The investigation raised tough questions, and Toronto police came under intense scrutiny. Why had early warnings been ignored? Were the victims' backgrounds, immigrants, queer, of color, a reason their cases were under-prioritized? The answer uncomfortably seemed to be yes. In court, Bruce McArthur showed little emotion. In January 2019, he pleaded guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder. The Crown described his crimes as sexual in nature and planned and deliberate. The evidence, grisly photographs, trophies from the crime scenes, painted a picture of sadism, calculation, and predation. Sentencing was swift. Life in prison, no chance of parole for 25 years. McArthur will almost certainly die behind bars. But the legacy lingered. The city mourned the dead and questioned its systems, the police, its care for vulnerable communities, and most chillingly, the easy trust given to a friendly face with a shovel. This is True Crime with Jackson. Remember, the most dangerous killers rarely look like monsters until it's much too late. Stay vigilant, stay informed.